From Super League to Olympic distance to age group world records to Kona. Go longer with the right fuel at the right time with SFuels.
We're gonna swim back and run in the corner sun, cause it's breakfast with Bob. Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome to our 11th year of Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Huggers on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Quintanaroo, Zoot, the original triathlon brand, and, of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, she was 15th at Ironman World Championships in St. George. Just took a third at Ironman Des Moines. Kelly Fillnow joins us. Round of applause for Kelly. How you doing, Kelly?
How are you?
I am wonderful. So
Great
you've
to be
been
here.
busy since St. George.
I was. Very busy little block there.
Yeah. So after getting 15th, we've seen it so many times. When Ben Hoffman was 15th here, next time he was second. So once you're in the, you're up there, the next step is potentially podium or potentially top 5. Did that sort of get you pumped up after St. George?
I have realistic expectations, so I don't think I'm going to podium, but I would love to be in the money again. So, yeah, it does definitely, I exceeded expectations there, so I'm hoping to do the same here.
What'd you learn about yourself from that? Because you did, that field was stacked.
Yes, it was, and it was such a hard day. I mean, it was so hot, and the course is just very brutal, but I just was so mentally strong out there, and I feel like for Ironman, you just have to, everyone out there is so physically fit. They're at their, absolute best for world championships, but a lot of times it's what the head does or doesn't do, and that's where you end up finishing as low or high as you can, because you can basically defeat yourself mentally on a tough day.
So background, gymnastics, soccer, softball, but you trained at the Vandermeer Tennis Academy at Hilton Head Island with your sister, or with your sister and brother.
Yes.
So tennis was obviously part of the family.
Yeah, we decided to pick a sport when we were freshmen just because we wanted to help our parents out, go to college on a scholarship. So we all decided on tennis, moved to Hilton Head Island, and trained at an academy for 4 years.
Yes.
So.
And how did that lead? That led to cross country and track?
I think I was my junior year at Davidson. I wanted a new challenge. All my teammates on the tennis team were going abroad, and I was the only one staying back. So I asked the cross country coach if I could do cross country that junior year, and then I picked up running. And
was there a point where you just realized, okay, I've gone as far as I can in tennis, and it's time to find something else?
Yeah, I think my goal as when I was 13 years old was just to get a collegiate scholarship and then be done with it. And I never had the aspiration to go pro. So I basically did all that I had wanted in the sport of tennis. And then I just kind of got bored not competing. And so that's where I eventually found out what a triathlon was and tried to self-teach myself how to swim.
Found out what a triathlon was. So,
Yeah.
okay, 10-time all-conference honoree in tennis and cross country, graduated cum laude, 2006 inducted in David's College Hall of Fame. Obviously, you're one of those underachievers who just doesn't do good at anything. It's like everything you touch, you do well. Finished third in your first try, qualified for Kona as an age grouper, on the podium twice as an age grouper. What was it about the sport of triathlon that you really wanted to do more in?
I think I just have an innate desire to just really push myself to just get to my potential in whatever that is, and I always want to be challenged.
Right.
And I feel like with triathlon, I was so challenged because I did not know how to swim. Like, I was afraid to literally get in the open water, and so I think for me that's like what really drove me is just the challenge of the sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of twins over the years, and twins can be very competitive, or they aren't. What are you guys?
Yeah, we're really competitive, but we have a healthy competitiveness.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would not get off the tennis court until I won the last point, so maybe that's a little unfair, but we really pushed each other, and I feel like I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Megan helping me go the extra mile, but it's a
Right.
healthy level.
It was funny. I was talking to Holly Lawrence, who's a triplet.
Wow.
And she didn't find out till later in life, but every time that she would beat her sister in a swimming meet, and her sister would get the trophy and throw it in the trash can.
That's funny. Yeah, we would do things like that. Like whenever we would be reading growing up, we would always hide what page we were on because the other one wanted to be further along in the novel.
Yes.
So we have things like that.
Now, did your sister get into this as well?
She's actually ranked 1 in the world in her age group. So
She's number 1 in age group. She want to go pro
in the
as
whole
well?
world. No, she doesn't want to go pro.
She likes just being an age
I
group.
think she likes winning.
She likes winning. I don't
Yeah.
blame her. I wouldn't mind that as well. What do you look at as, what race was it that you did? Well, of course, you were third in your first race. But going from getting third as an age grouper and then making that move to pro, how hard was that?
It was really hard, especially because you're competing against people like Haley Tura, Lucy Charles, who are a different level on the swim.
Right.
So I think that was the hardest jump. But when I was an amateur, I feel like I got to the point where I needed more of a challenge. So I
Right.
was like, I'm just going to, try and race the best in the world and see where that falls and where that takes me, because I needed a little bit more of a push.
Right. When I look at your progression in swimming, so Ironman Florida 2021 is like a 117,
Yeah.
and then I look at Des Moines 103, right? So you're,
Yeah.
and St. George 101.
Yeah.
And that's, again, better competition. It seems like the better the competition, the better you do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it pushes you more for sure. And I feel like you can mentally get stale if you're not being pushed out there too. So it's nice to have, the best in the world, being in front and showing you where you need to go.
What are your goals here?
My goal is just to really, I don't know, I just feel like I want to get the absolute best out of myself. I feel like I haven't got to the point where I've completely emptied myself in
Right.
a triathlon. And so I feel like I always finish with a little bit more in me. So I want to be able to get to the finish line and know there's not an ounce left in me. And that's what's driving me to, finish as hard as I can.
That's pretty scary, though. It's like,
It is
because
scary, yeah.
it's a 112-mile bike ride. You go, okay,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I empty the tank.
Right.
You empty the tank and end up walking the last 10K of the marathon.
Yeah, and it's scary. And that's why I think a lot of athletes race conservatively, because you are, fearing that. But I've never had an Ironman. I'm pretty consistent with my performances.
Yes.
So I've never had bonked or walked in an Ironman, before. So I'm like, okay, maybe just push a little bit more. And if that happens, hopefully it doesn't. But I just want to get to that point where I know that I've given it every single thing that I have.
We've seen so many athletes over the years who, like you said, they do their swim, they do their bike, and it's like, I can make a move here, but how about the marathon? And they're thinking that the whole time. And sometimes to put yourself out there and potentially blow up, that's how you learn.
Yeah, there's definitely the most learning in failure. I feel like every time that I fail in life, that's where you grow the most too.
Exactly.
Not that you want to do that.
So do you finish the season here? Do you go to 70.3 Worlds? What happens after this?
I do go to 70.3 Worlds.
You'll be there as well.
Yes.
You have raced a lot this year.
Well, I raced 4 in like 7 weeks, I think, and then I haven't raced anything since Portland or Salem. So
Yes.
yeah.
And the focus for this year has been this. Where did you qualify for this?
Actually, at St. George.
Is it St. George got you here?
Coeur d'Alene for St. George.
George, okay.
Yeah.
So you qualified for the Worlds at the Worlds.
Yeah.
That is pretty darn cool. And the Des Moines race, being on the podium there, that's pretty huge.
That was special.
What was it about that course that worked well for you?
Oh, it was so humid. It was absolutely miserable, but I think just living in the Carolinas, you're used to the humidity a little bit more.
Right.
So we were kind of all suffering on that run. And the run was so flat. Like, it wasn't hilly at all, but a lot of the pros, we had faster times at St. George than at Iowa.
Isn't that amazing?
Which is amazing, because
Yeah.
St. George is like this.
It's funny because sometimes when you have a hilly course, you're using different muscles. Even though it seems
Absolutely.
like it should be way more brutal,
Yeah.
just using the same muscles over and over again, like Florida and Des Moines,
Yeah.
you work yourself.
Exactly, right. Yeah, I like the little muscle changing.
Cool. Hey, Kelly, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Oh, thanks so much.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And make sure that your sister stays age group, because you don't want to be competing
I don't want to
against-
compete against her ever.
Exactly. Kelly Fillnow has been our guest, everybody. Macho Man.
We're gonna swing back and run in the corner sun. We're gonna swing. swim, I can run in the corner sun, 'cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man.